Hey everyone, welcome back. I am getting ready to work on my fourth project of the month, my third Cards, Tags, and More kit project. And this one has a couple of cards in it that are mixed media cards. They're not heavy with mixed media, but I do use some of this month's mixed media kit on them. For these two cards, I kind of work on them together, side by side, and that was mostly so that while I was working with the mediums, I would just do both cards at the same time, so I wouldn't have to keep opening a container, finish a card, closing a container. You know what I mean. Anyhow, this first card is a step card, and it's just a little step card file that I created. So there you can see the folding process for this step card. Not real hard, not an overly complicated fold. For my other pieces on my step card, I have some lightweight, it's printer weight, white cardstock, and I just cut out some panels for that, and then I cut out the rectangles from the pattern paper, and then I just set those pieces off while I get my slimline card pieces ready for assembly. Both cards are cut out of the same dark pink smooth cardstock from my stash. I cut another piece of that same printer weight white cardstock to use between the dark pink cardstock and the pattern papers. It gives me another layer for another dimension and helps me build up my layers before putting it all on the card. Because my slimline card is a 4x10 card, and this pink and white striped pattern paper was only an 8x8 sheet, I do just cut off the extra couple inches and stick it on, because I know that everything's going to be covered up by the time the card is finished. And it is the same on all of my cards, regardless of how many layers. I always go in 1/8 of an inch smaller from layer to layer, so that there's always approximately a 1/16 inch border. For example, my slimline card is 4x10, and then I cut that white cardstock 3 7/8 by 9 7/8, and then I cut that pink and white striped paper so that it would be 3 3/3 by 9 3/4. With all of my papers picked out, I am now going to start my assembly process, and I am just using the dies from this month's kit to add some decorative cutting along the squares that are going to go in my step card. I just added that pencil line on the back of the papers so that I could center it on the dies, or center the dies on the paper, however you want to think about it. And there you have the decorative edges, and now with those decorative edges cut, I am just going to trim off the bottoms so that they fit evenly, so that the tops of those panels are even with the fold in the card. This little banner piece was cut from one of the sheets of the pattern paper, and it was plain white, and I just coated the entire thing with some of the ink from the kit this month, and then just used it to back those die cut areas. So now for me, it's just a matter of working out exactly how I want everything layered up and put together. For the mixed media part of this step card, I just laid my four skinnier rectangles down together so they would all fit under the stencil, and I used that crackle glaze The stencil is from last month's mixed media kit, and then that crackle glaze is from this month's mixed media kit. And then I just sprinkled on some Brilliant Gold Pearl X powder that was from, I think it was from last December's mixed media kit. And then to hold everything down, I added some of that pixie dust fixative that had been in July's mixed media kit. And as I said, I just did all of my mixed media parts together. So while that crackle glaze and that pixie dust fixative was drying, I just randomly scraped on some of that glitter paste that is in this month's mixed media kit. And then to add a little bit of color to the flowers, I mixed in some of that ink from this month's Cards, Tags, and More kit, mixed it in with some of that glitter paste, and then just lightly brushed it along the edges of the petals. And then with what I had left over, I just added it on with a palette knife onto that pink and white paper. With all of my mediums dry, it is now just a matter of the assembly process. I get all of my outside pieces glued on, and then start adding in the decorative parts for the steps. Because I have a solid back on there, I was working out what I could do to help keep everything, or to help get everything to sort of pop out. Not like a true pop-up card, but just to pop out when the card was standing up. I grabbed up a scrap piece of that white cardstock just to make some little accordion fold pieces that could push those papers forward a little bit when the card was standing. So for that back step, I glued the top of the decorative piece to the back of the card, and then glued the bottom front to the inside front of the step. That way when it opened, it pulled that paper out a little bit. I added a part of one of my accordion fold pieces to that front decorative piece, glued the bottom half of my Let's Celebrate square to that front step, and then added another bit of the accordion fold to the top of it. That way when standing up, the Let's Celebrate square stayed popped just a little more forward than the rest of the card. Then I just added a little glue along the inside of that bottom edge. Popped on the little bit that says "On Your Birthday." And then I used some of the gold trim. I just cut the little circles off and then added them on like you would sequins. And then added a little bit more pixie dust just for some more shine. For the slimline card, I added some plain white texture paste on top of that glitter paste, and then just used this little tool I have to add some lines through it and let that glitter paste show in between. I have these little flower dies from my stash, and I didn't use them for the flowers. I just really liked the leaves that are on them. And it's just a matter of assembly for the card now, putting my layers together and then adding all of my flowers to the front. I added that for someone special at the top, and then just to add a little bit of blue at the bottom of the card, I just tucked in a little torn piece of pattern paper. And then for the finishing touches on this card, I grabbed up my white texture paste and I watered it down just a little bit so it would be a little easier to brush on. Used it to pick up some of those sequins and little beads, and then just brushed it on randomly around the flowers. And then after that was dry, I added it to the dark pink card base using some foam square. Alright, both of my cards are finished and dry now. Super easy cards. Once all of the pieces are picked out or cut, they go together relatively quickly. I don't use heavy mediums, so there isn't actually a lot of dry time. I hope that you enjoyed these two mixed media cards and they gave you some ideas of what you can make using mediums from your stash, mediums from previous kits, and this month's cards, tags, and more kit. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up and feel free to share this video. I hope you enjoyed all of the projects this month. Thank you, and I will see you again next month.